Hi, friend, and welcome to the channel. We're about to look at an episode of Dragon's Den where the founders came in severely underprepared and really put off the dragons by letting their ego get in the way. Let's have a look.
I'm Richard Bonus. I'm the inventor and shareholder of the truncator multi-cut sawhorse. We've come here to ask for £125,000 for 30% of our company.
All right, so they have valued their company at about £417,000.
The truncator sawhorse is a revolutionary new chainsaw sawhorse that makes the process of cutting logs easier, faster, and much safer.
Right, so we're noticing a little bit of a struggle there in terms of their oral exposition. I get it. Talking about your product and your business to a group of people that have your future in their hands is incredibly intimidating. I cannot imagine this being a situation where one is relaxed, especially if they haven't received any pitch training or if they're not used to public speaking. You know, you hear them muddling their words. It's a very challenging situation to be in. So I understand.
The logs are held by the cup system and you simply stack from the cups, or in fact, even better, tip the cup system into a container to create your log pile.
So what they're putting at the forefront of their pitch is how the product works, but we have no idea what problem this product is resolving. If you are not within the industry, you don't know what the pain points are. That's usually something that you want to start with when you're presenting your product to someone, may that be an investor or anybody that might have a stake in your company or in your product. You don't necessarily want to start with the form. You don't necessarily want to start with the mechanics of how it works. You want to start with the problem that you're resolving. What is the pain point of your customers? And why did you think about this product to resolve it? With this choice that they made, we're not hit with why the product is investable within the first few minutes of the presentation.
What are people currently using to chop logs?
Exactly. So what is the problem that people are facing at the moment? What's the current market looking like? Who are your competitors? What are you competing against in the market? And why do we need this product that you've just created?
All sawhorses on the market at the moment drop the logs onto the ground, which creates trip hazards. More importantly, most people are cutting 1 and 2 pieces of wood at a time. This, you can fill that, and you are multiple cutting. So you are getting at least 100 to 200% increase in productivity.
Start with that. What he just said, you should start with those facts. Start with what is the pressing issue that workers deal with when cutting wood, and what are the actual tangible effects of your invention or of your product or your service or whatever it may be.
How many people could go out in their back garden, cut down some trees, put them onto the truncator, then cut their logs? What I'm saying is,
because the market is so big, we can't actually ascertain where it is.
I don't think the market is big.
I would accept your view, but you're completely wrong.
But that doesn't help.
No,
Richard.
I accept that it's a thing that isn't within your gambit, therefore you haven't got the knowledge to actually ascertain.
No, but you've supposed to got the knowledge, and you've come in here with a table that I could get from anywhere, with a truncator just put on the front as a brand, and you're then telling me that I'm wrong.
So what they are missing then here in their pitch is a study of the market, like specific data about the market and the kind of consumer that they're trying to reach. Market potential is one of the main things that any investor would be looking after when considering putting their hard-earned money into a business. So you need to come into a place like the Dragon's Den with a very thorough research on the market. Who is your consumer? Are there any consumers? Are there people ready to knock at your door as soon as you launch the product? Will this product have customers? Essentially, that's what Peter is trying to gauge. And it doesn't look like they have any data to back the fact that, in fact, there is a market out there other than just claiming it.
Well, give me some facts.
Yeah.
We're looking for sales of 1,300 of these units in the first year, and that should produce 65,000
gross profit.
We're then going to...
All right, so here we're talking. So they already have evidently scoped out that there is interest in the market. Remember, guys, that gross profit is what's left after you deduct the cost of producing the product from the sales of that product. So that's the gross profit margin. You have the amount of sales that the product brings you, and then you have how much it cost to produce the amount that you have sold. And the difference between the two is the gross margin, aka the gross profit.
What's your net profit going to be in those 2 years?
Net profit is the gross profit less the company's overheads. So the overheads are all those costs that are not directly connected with you producing the product or the service that you're offering. So an example is the rent of your office, salaries, marketing, insurance, all of those like organizational running costs that are unrelated with the volume of your offer.
Do you remember?
If you've seen one of my previous videos, you will know that there are 4 things that you always have to have top of mind whenever you're talking about your business to anybody, may that be an investor or anybody who's interested in a collaboration or a sponsorship or a partnership with you. So those 4 figures are the income, aka the turnover, aka the sales. So how much income were you able to generate in the current financial year and in the previous few financial years? The cost of sales, so that is how much it costs you to produce what you're selling. And the difference between the two is the gross margin, as we just said, and then you have to know what the net margin is, aka the net profit of your organization. So is the organization profitable, and what is left of the income after you take out the cost of sales and the overheads? You have to know these numbers top of mind in any situation, wherever you are. Those figures are the heartbeat of your business. And you need to look at these figures regularly. At least every month, you have to pull your financial reports together and have a really good understanding of the profitability of your offer, as well as the organization as a whole. Also, I should add that, again, this is a nerve-wracking situation. Nerves get in the way for sure. But you should know that going into the Dragon's Den, you will be drilled. You have to go over those numbers over and over and over again until just you know them through and through.
I love the way it chops up the logs neatly. But in terms of a business, it's a flawed business plan. You're talking about all the people that go and buy a chainsaw. It's not going to be people that are chopping down logs for a business. Most people that I know that live in the country actually enjoy cutting down the logs. It's like a pastime, but I don't think you're going to sell enough.
So the point that this dragon is making is there a market? Will people actually need this? Do you know who you're speaking to? Do you know who you're selling to? And are there any people out there that are willing to invest their own money in buying this thing? Or can they just do without? Can they just buy the wood that is already chopped off? Or will they just chop them off themselves and having a good time with it? These founders didn't give enough proof that there is a market out there for their invention.
I'm quite impressed with the pluck of you all telling somebody who does cut logs big time and has done for 50 odd years.
Well, you didn't give them any reason to believe you. You cannot count on just someone saying, yep, there is a market. Investors will need data. Investors will need to be reassured that a very thorough market research has been conducted to reassure them that what they're investing in has a market to begin with. It doesn't help these founders that this person is just saying, well, you guys don't know what you're talking about. They don't, and it is your job to inform them of the market that you're in. But it doesn't look like they came prepared with any data, and it doesn't look like they came prepared with any reassurance that what they have is something that people might want to buy. Remember, guys, that when you are looking for anybody having a stake in your business, may that be through investing or, again, partnerships, or even when you're looking for valid employees, they are not just investing their time and money in the business, they're also putting a hell of a lot of stake in you as a person, as a founder. They need to trust you. They need to know that they can rely on you, and they need to know that their money and their time is in good hands. I don't think these founders are presenting themselves in a way that reassures the dragon that they are a good investment.
I don't think anybody here thinks that there isn't a market for this. There is, clearly. The question is, how big is that market?
I'd be surprised that you weren't selling £1 million of that product within 3 years.
Yeah, but you sit here and you chuck out words like, that I would be surprised if we don't sell 1 million of these. And honestly, you are surprised at me. Well, I'm really surprised at you not coming up with actual fact.
What Deborah is saying is, Says who? From where are you getting the information that there is a market? You cannot just pluck the figures out of the air and just say, trust me, I know. You need facts and you need data and you need actual figures that people can rely on before you make those kind of claims.
We will sell far more than 3,000 to 4,000.
I still don't understand how they know that they're going to succeed. Do they have any previous history of sales? Have they traded yet? Have they made any deals yet with any partners and like resellers? Do they already have customers? Has their turnover grown? Do they have a turnover? Can you give me some more information that is based in facts and reality rather than just your own opinion? It's still not clear to me at this moment if they are just poorly prepared or whether their business doesn't have a leg to stand on.
That doesn't give me the reason to invest. I think you'd be impossible to work with.
So what I was telling you before about you need to be a person that people trust and like. A very good idea and a very good business idea and even a successful business, people will not be willing to invest in it and work with you if they don't feel like you would be a good person to work with. It's just the reality. It's just the fact. If you think about being an employee for someone, you might be working in the biggest, most successful, most profitable, most bonus-giving company out there. But if your boss is a difficult boss, you're going to have a really hard time and you're going to want to quit. No matter what your salary is and no matter what all the perks are in your job, you will want to quit and you will be miserable if your boss is really difficult to work with. Same thing with a founder. It's the same principle. Is this someone that I can see myself forming a very strong business relationship with? If that's a no, then you're not investable as a person, no matter how successful your product is or your idea is.
Always have to look at the person at the end of the day and think, how would we work together?
Yes.
And we wouldn't.
Told you.
We would kill each other.
You've kind of walked in here unenergetic, unexcited about a product that, you know, I actually like, but your attitude is so unengaging. I'm afraid I'm out.
The fact that you have a good business or a good idea or a good product doesn't mean that you're the best person equipped to go in front of a group of people and sell that to them and pitch that idea to them. What I would advise these founders to do is to maybe look for a public speaking coach that can help them with the storytelling and can help them in delivering a more compelling pitch.
It was rubbish. Just the whole, not the product, I like the product, but the biggest issue, I think, is yourself. I think you think you know better.
Can I also say, like, again, the situation doesn't necessarily bring out the best out of you. I'm sure this person is a lovely person in his own personal life. I have no reason to believe that isn't true. But when you invest so much time and energy and probably money into something that you feel yours, and then that's questioned by a group of strangers, essentially, I can understand the defensiveness. Of course, you need to be coached around how to communicate in a way that isn't off-putting, because clearly the product here isn't the main issue.
So I'm out.
You really should have got onto your numbers. You really should have asked yourselves the questions that you believed would be asked.
Right.
I'm out.
All of the dragons decide not to invest, not because the product was a bad product necessarily, and not because the business was a bad business idea necessarily, but because the founders weren't investable. So that really teaches you a lesson about how knowledgeable you need to be and how prepared you need to be when you're talking about your business to people that might have a stake in it. The business idea is only a section of what investors and stakeholders look for in a business when they are considering investing time and money into it. They didn't know their financial figures. They didn't know the net profit. The net profit, even if you're not seeking out investment, if you have a business, the main purpose of the business is to pay yourself, right? So the main purpose of a for-profit business is to be profitable. Like that is the key. The reason why you incorporate a limited company that is a for-profit private limited company is because it needs to be successful. And that means that it needs to survive. And that means that it needs to be profitable. It cannot run at a loss. And so if you as a founder are not interested in what is the net margin of your company, then you're lacking one of the basics and one of the fundamentals of being a business owner. So they didn't have their financial ready. They didn't have their market research ready. And they could have easily prepared for these kind of questions by just looking at previous Dragon's Dens episodes and just like having someone to talk to who maybe has some kind of CEO experience so that they could come into the room prepared. And it didn't look like they did that kind of work.
They were getting really aggressive, wouldn't accept what I said. I would not do business with the 3 older dragons in any shape or form.
Well, then I would ask this person, what were you expecting coming in? I don't think it's very out there to expect the dragons to know your figures and know the basics about building a business and then them getting cross that you don't. I would say that it is very painful when someone comes in and criticizes you and your ideas and your business and your knowledge about stuff. And maybe the product does have a massive market, and I can understand his frustration in knowing that fact and not being able to relay that to the dragons. But surely you cannot expect the investors to just trust you on your word. You have to come prepared. And it's surprising to me that he thought that they would just believe him based on the things that he shared. It's very difficult to put your ego aside. As a business owner, you need to be prepared to receive criticism, and you need to be able to unpick the criticism and take out the things that you can learn from them. The dragons were surely very harsh, but that's their job, that's their role, that's how they always are in this show. What you need to do is to put yourself aside for a moment and think about what the best thing is for the business. And I wish that he said something like, sure, they were very difficult with me, but I can completely understand that I should have known what the company's net profit was. And I should have known what kind of information to present about the market to reassure them that they were making a sound investment. But he sounds very defensive, and it sounds like he hasn't learned the lesson. Again, we don't know exactly. These things are cut and edited together in a very specific way to create a little bit more drama. So we don't know, and I don't know this person personally, obviously. What I wish for them is that they really dig into the figures and really dig into the actual data that is palatable for investors if they look for investment elsewhere. And there you have it. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this pitch. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.